Autumn in New England always possessed a magical beauty, but for Amelia Hayes, it was only a somber painting. The maple trees changed to vibrant reds and golden yellows, carpeting the winding country roads with a blanket of leaves. The path leading to the small town of Stowe, Vermont, where she grew up, now seemed heavy with memories and unnamed burdens. Each golden leaf fell gently, swirling in the wind like the shattering pieces of a childhood dream, slowly fading away. Amelia was a flight attendant, a job she had dreamed of since she was a little girl, from the first time she saw a giant plane take off into the deep blue sky. Flying through the air, exploring new lands, meeting different people. This was all she wanted, a symbol of the freedom she craved. But life was not always a bed of roses. Her family, especially her biological father, Richard, and stepmother Sarah, had fallen into colossal debt from a series of failed business ventures and risky investments that yielded no results. To pay off the debt to avoid complete collapse, they had decided to marry her off to a wealthy, much older man whom she had never met, Mr. John Sterling. Every flight home was a moment when Amelia felt her chest tighten. She loved her job, loved the feeling of freedom in the air, but the harsh reality always pulled her back to the ground, forcing her to face a cruel truth. This morning, as the plane landed at Logan Airport in Boston, Amelia felt a weariness that enveloped her body and soul. She pulled her suitcase out of the terminal, the pale golden light of the autumn morning shining down, making the maple leaves on the roadside even more vibrant, but unable to chase away the darkness in her heart. The chilly autumn wind carried the scent of dry leaves and damp earth, like a reminder of change, of a cold winter fast approaching in her life. "Amelia, you're back?" Her stepmother Sarah's voice came from the gate, cold and devoid of warmth, as if she were speaking to an object rather than a person. She stood there, her face meticulously made up, a thick layer of powder concealing the wrinkles of her worries and calculations, and a forced smile that did not reach her eyes. Her father, Richard, stood beside her, his gaze evasive, not daring to look his daughter in the eye, a cowardice Amelia was all too familiar with. "Yes, I just got back." Amelia tried to keep her voice calm, suppressing the rising indignation within her. She had learned to hide her emotions, a necessary skill when facing this family. "We have something to talk to you about," Richard spoke, his voice hoarse, as if he was trying to say something difficult but lacked the courage. "About your marriage to Mr. John Sterling." Amelia's heart clenched, a cold sensation running down her spine. She knew this day would come. She had prepared herself for it, but hearing it directly from her father's mouth still caused her immense pain. "Dad, I've already told you. I don't want to. I can't marry a man I don't love, a man I haven't even met." "You don't have a choice," Sarah interjected, her voice sharp, cutting her off like a knife. "The family is in trouble. Do you know how much debt we're in? This is the only way to salvage everything. Mr. Sterling is a good man, wealthy, and he's willing to help us. You have to sacrifice for the family." Amelia looked at her father, hoping to find a hint of support, a bit of affection, a tiny spark in his eyes. But he just lowered his head, his gaze evasive, as if he was burying himself in silence and helplessness. Disappointment flooded Amelia's soul. She knew she was alone in this fight, a fight she seemed to have lost from the very beginning. That night, Amelia couldn't sleep. She sat by the window, looking out at the falling maple leaves, each leaf like a golden tear falling to the ground. The moon was full and bright, illuminating the entire garden, making the golden leaves on the ground shimmer like gold leaf, a haunting and melancholy beauty. She recalled her childhood dreams, the trips with her late mother, the woman who had taught her about love and freedom. She remembered the fairy tales about love and happiness her mother used to tell her. Now they all seemed like a distant dream, an illusion fading into the cold night. She wondered if she would ever find true happiness, or if her life was destined to be an endless sacrifice. Tears streamed down her cheeks, blending into the silent darkness. A few days later, Amelia had a flight to Seattle, a long journey across time zones and unfamiliar lands. She tried to push away all negative thoughts, focusing on her work, on the professional demeanor of a flight attendant. In her neat uniform, a crisp white shirt, and a stylish blue scarf, she walked through the bustling airport corridor, a professional smile always on her face, concealing the heaviness in her heart. She greeted passengers, guided them to their seats, and meticulously checked the safety equipment. But deep down, her heart was still heavy, like a crushing stone, making every beat carry a sense of exhaustion and anxiety. On the flight, one particular passenger caught her attention. He was a distinguished middle-aged man, with neatly trimmed salt and pepper hair and deep, soulful eyes that held a hint of sadness but were also full of warmth. He sat in the first-class cabin next to a little girl of about 6 or 7, who had hair as golden as sunlight and clear blue eyes like a summer sky. The little girl was engrossed in drawing in a notebook, her scribbled lines full of color, occasionally looking up at the man with eyes full of love and admiration, a pure affection Amelia had never experienced. Amelia served them drinks. "Good morning, sir. What would you like?" Her voice was professional and friendly, as always. The man looked up, a gentle smile on his lips, revealing the wrinkles around his eyes but making him seem more approachable. "Good morning. I'll have a black coffee, no sugar, and a glass of orange juice for my daughter, please." His voice was warm and deep, full of composure and politeness, without any hint of the arrogance of a wealthy man. "Yes, sir." Amelia smiled. Feeling a bit of warmth spread through her, a rare feeling in the past few days. The little girl looked at her with curious eyes, then returned to her drawing, as if Amelia was a part of the world she was exploring. Throughout the flight, Amelia occasionally glanced at the father and daughter. The man was very patient and gentle with the little girl. He read books to her in an expressive voice, played with colorful puzzles with her, and always wore a warm smile whenever the little girl talked, answering all her innocent questions. Amelia felt a strange admiration for this man. He seemed to be a wonderful father, a role model she had never had. As the flight neared its end, the little girl fell asleep on the man's shoulder, her golden hair spread out, looking so peaceful. Amelia approached and gently asked, "Is she asleep? She looks so well behaved." The man nodded, his eyes full of affection as he looked at his daughter, a look that held both deep love and profound sadness. "Yes. She often sleeps on planes. The engine noise must lull her to sleep." "She's adorable," Amelia said, her voice much softer. "What's her name?" "Her name is Lily," the man replied, "and I'm David Miller." He extended his hand politely, his hand warm and steady. Amelia shook his hand, feeling a gentle jolt, a surprising and indescribable feeling. "It's nice to meet you, Mr. Miller. I'm Amelia Hayes." "Amelia," David repeated, his voice thoughtful, as if he was trying to memorize the name. "I feel you have a very unique beauty, very simple and warm. Your eyes hold a sad story." Amelia blushed. She had never received a compliment like that, especially one that delved so deeply into her soul. "Thank you." She felt a slight embarrassment, but also a sense of being understood. When the plane landed, David and Lily were the last passengers to leave the aircraft. David carried a sleeping Lily in his arms, turning back to smile at Amelia, a smile that felt like a promise. "I hope we meet again." Amelia watched the father and daughter's figures, an indescribable feeling rising in her heart. She didn't know why, but this brief encounter had brought her a rare sense of peace, a small ray of light in her stormy life. She wondered if this was fate or just a fleeting moment among the millions of encounters in the sky. David Miller was a tech billionaire, the founder and CEO of Miller Tech, a leading global technology empire. He was famous for his groundbreaking inventions and strategic vision, but behind his successful and wealthy exterior, he was a widower, raising his little daughter, Lily, alone. His wife, Sarah, had passed away 3 years earlier from a terminal illness, a disease that had cruelly and suddenly taken the woman he loved most. The pain of loss was still etched deep in his heart, like a scar that would never heal, and he had dedicated all his love and attention to Lily, his precious daughter who was the only remaining link to Sarah. After that fateful flight, David couldn't stop thinking about Amelia. Her simple beauty, her sad yet resilient eyes had left a deep impression on him. He felt a strange empathy for her, as if she also carried a certain sadness, an invisible burden that he could sense. He wondered about the story hidden behind those eyes. A few weeks later, David had a business trip to New York. He took Lily with him, wanting her to have a change of scenery and explore new things. They spent an afternoon strolling in Central Park, a green oasis in the heart of the bustling city. Lily ran and played on the lush green lawn, her clear laughter echoing through the space like a cheerful melody that chased away David's worries. David sat on an old park bench, watching his daughter play, his heart filled with love and a touch of nostalgia. He remembered Sarah, remembered the happy moments they had shared right here, under the shade of the ancient trees. "Dad, look!" Lily exclaimed, pointing to a small boat gliding on the lake, creating gentle ripples. "Can we go boating? I want to row a boat." David smiled, a rare but genuine smile. "Of course, my princess. We'll explore the lake together." They rented a small blue boat, and David gently rowed, taking Lily to the middle of the lake. A light breeze blew, creating small ripples on the water's surface. Reflecting the late afternoon sunlight, the last rays of sun bathed the entire space in gold, creating a poetic, magical scene, like a watercolor painting. David looked at Lily, seeing her joy, her eyes sparkling with happiness, and his heart felt much lighter. He felt a rare sense of peace, a feeling he had lost for a long time. Meanwhile, Amelia was in New York, preparing for an international flight to Paris. She had a few hours to spare before heading to the airport, and she decided to walk around the Chelsea neighborhood, trying to find some peace of mind to escape the heavy thoughts about her family and the marriage. She stopped in front of a small cafe with vibrant yellow daisies on the windowsill, bringing a bit of warm color to the gray city. She walked in, ordered a hot coffee, and sat by the window, watching the passers-by, each person with a story, a life of their own. Suddenly, she saw a familiar figure. It was David Miller, walking with Lily. They were walking on the sidewalk, hand in hand, chatting happily, Lily's clear laughter ringing out amidst the noisy car horns. Amelia felt a warmth spread through her, a strange sense of familiarity. Little Lily was so adorable, and David was a wonderful father, a picture of family that she had always longed for. David also saw Amelia through the window pane. He smiled, his smile like a warm ray of sunshine, and waved to her. Amelia was surprised, but she smiled back, a genuine smile. David led Lily into the cafe. "What a coincidence," David said, his eyes full of amusement. "Amelia, you're here too. The world is so small." "Yes, I have a flight tonight," Amelia replied, her voice still a bit surprised. "Are you and Lily out for a stroll? You both look so happy." "Yes, we're enjoying the afternoon in New York," David said. "She loves this city. We just went boating in Central Park." They sat down together, talking about work, life, and the small everyday things. Amelia felt comfortable around David. He was an intelligent, kind, and great listener. He didn't ask much about her private life, but his eyes always showed concern and understanding, as if he could read the hidden sorrows in her heart. Lily sat next to David, still holding her sketchbook tightly, occasionally looking up at Amelia with curious and innocent eyes. She handed Amelia a drawing, a colorful picture of a small house in a green rice field with a winding river and distant mountains. "Look, I drew this. This is my mom's house." Amelia looked at the drawing, and her heart sank. The picture was so peaceful and beautiful. "Oh, it's beautiful. "Where is this house, sweetie?" "In her hometown," David said, his voice lowering, his eyes distant. Her mother was of Vietnamese origin. She loved peaceful places close to nature, vast rice fields, and calm rivers. Amelia looked at David, sensing the sadness in his voice, a deep but not tragic sadness. She knew he had lost his wife, and the pain was still fresh. She felt a deep empathy for him, as if they shared an invisible burden. She also understood Lily and her origins better. Before they parted, David gave Amelia his business card. "If you have time, give me a call. I'd love to take you to dinner. Maybe we can talk more." Amelia took the business card, her heart beating a little faster, a strange sense of excitement. She didn't know if she should call him, if she should open up to a stranger when her life was bound by an unwanted marriage contract, but a part of her desperately wanted to see David again, to learn more about this warm and mysterious man. In the following days, Amelia and David stayed in frequent contact. They talked on the phone for hours, sharing about their work, their travels, and gradually, more intimate thoughts about their lives. They messaged each other whenever they had free time, short but meaningful messages, like invisible threads connecting two souls. Sometimes David even arranged his flights to coincide with Amelia's schedule so they could meet at airports, even if only for a few short minutes for a cup of coffee or a hurried hug. Their feelings for each other grew gradually, naturally, and gently, like a flower blooming in the morning mist. Amelia felt that David was a special man. He was not just wealthy and successful, but also a wonderful father, a warm, sincere, and kind man. He listened to her confessions patiently, without judgment, shared his sorrows about his late wife, and always gave her the feeling of being understood and comforted. With David, Amelia felt she could be herself, without having to hide her emotional wounds or the burdens she carried. One summer afternoon, David invited Amelia to visit his villa in the Hamptons, where he and Lily lived. It was a beautiful house, located by the sea, with modern architecture that was still in harmony with the surrounding nature. The large garden had lush green lawns, flower beds of all colors, and ancient shady trees. From the large balcony, one could see the entire deep blue ocean stretching to the horizon, the waves crashing gently against the white sand, creating a peaceful symphony of the sea. Lily ran out to greet Amelia, her clear blue eyes shining with joy. She hugged Amelia tightly, her face beaming. "Amelia is here. I missed you so much." Amelia knelt down and hugged Lily, her heart filled with love. The little girl had become very attached to her, like an indispensable part of her life. Lily's innocence and affection had warmed Amelia's heart, which had long been frozen. David led Amelia for a walk in the garden, under the gentle golden light of the afternoon. He told her about his life, about Sarah, his late wife, about the beautiful memories they had created together in this house, on this beach. He spoke of Sarah with a deep love and respect, without any self-pity or bitterness. Amelia listened attentively, sensing the profound love David had for his late wife. She didn't feel jealous, instead she admired his love, a love that transcended death. It made her believe more in love, in the eternity of sincere emotions. As dusk fell, the sky transformed from blue to orange, then to purple-pink. David and Amelia sat on the beach, watching the sun gradually set into the sea. The last light of day painted the entire space red, making the drifting clouds in the sky even more vibrant, like a living oil painting. A gentle sea breeze blew, carrying the salty scent of the ocean, mingling with the fragrance of the flowers from the garden. The sound of the waves crashing was a soft background music for this romantic moment. "Amelia," David said, his voice warm, breaking the silence, "I know you're carrying burdens. I don't know what they are, but I can feel them. Your eyes, your smile, they all hide a deep sadness. I want you to know that I'm always here, ready to share them with you, no matter what. You don't have to bear it alone." Amelia looked at David, her eyes welling up, tears on the verge of falling. She had kept the secret of her forced marriage for too long. Fear and humiliation had oppressed her all this time. Now, in front of David, a sincere and understanding man, she felt she could let it all out. She told him about her family situation, about the huge debt from her father's failed business ventures, and about being forced to marry Mr. John Sterling, a man she dreaded. She told him about the threats and pressures she had to endure from her father and stepmother. David listened attentively, without interrupting her. When Amelia finished, he took her hand, squeezing it gently, giving her warmth and strength. "I understand. You've been through so much, Amelia. I'm sorry you had to go through that alone." "I don't know what to do," Amelia said, her voice choked, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I don't want to marry a man I don't love. I can't sell my life away, but I also can't abandon my family and watch them collapse." David looked straight into Amelia's eyes, his gaze firm and determined. "You're not alone, Amelia. I will help you. We will find a way to solve this together. You don't have to sacrifice your happiness for anyone." He gently embraced Amelia, his arms strong and warm. She rested her head on his shoulder, feeling a strange sense of peace, a security she had never had. He kissed her forehead, then gently placed a kiss on her lips. It was a soft kiss, full of love, understanding, and promise. Amelia felt as if all the burdens in her heart had vanished, as if an iceberg had melted under the warm sun of love. After that fateful night on the Hamptons beach, David took action. He was not only a wealthy man, but also a brilliant strategist, a person capable of solving problems quickly and effectively. He sent his personal lawyer, one of the best in America, to work with Amelia's father, Richard. The goal was to get a clear understanding of the massive debt the Hayes family was carrying, to analyze every number and every contract in order to propose the most viable solutions. The process was not easy, as Richard and Sarah tried to hide a lot of information and even tried to obstruct. Meanwhile, David also met directly with Mr. John Sterling. The meeting took place at David's office in Manhattan, a luxurious but powerful space. Mr. Sterling was a tough, cold man who didn't easily give up what he wanted. He came with a self-satisfied attitude, believing that Amelia was already within his grasp. But David was a much more formidable opponent than Mr. Sterling imagined. With his intelligence, reputation, and sharp negotiation skills, David spoke frankly about his feelings for Amelia and about her right to happiness. "Mr. Sterling," David began, his tone calm but full of weight, "I know you intend to marry Amelia Hayes, but I want to make it clear that Amelia has no feelings for you. She is being forced by her family because of their debts, and I, David Miller, will not let that happen." Mr. Sterling smirked, his eyes full of contempt. "Who do you think you are to interfere in this matter? This is her family's internal affair, and I can solve all their financial problems. I am the man Amelia loves, and I will be her protector," David replied, his gaze sharp. "Regarding the financial issue, I am willing to help her family pay a significant portion of the debt, enough for them to get out of their current situation. In return, you must completely abandon your intention to marry Amelia and let her be free to choose her own life." The negotiation was tense for several hours. Mr. Sterling tried to make unreasonable demands and create difficulties, but David did not waver. He presented evidence of the lack of transparency in Richard's transactions, the legal weaknesses that Mr. Sterling might face if he continued to force the marriage. In the end, under pressure from David and his lawyer, Mr. Sterling realized that pursuing Amelia further would bring more trouble than benefit. He reluctantly accepted David's terms, with a look of fury on his face. Amelia's father, Richard, initially strongly opposed David's offer. He still wanted Amelia to marry Mr. Sterling to completely solve their financial problems without being indebted to anyone. He was afraid of David, afraid of his power and influence. But David patiently explained, clearly analyzing the benefits that Richard's family would receive and the risks if he continued to resist. Finally, under David's pressure and convincing arguments, Richard had to accept, although he was still full of reluctance and jealousy. Her stepmother Sarah was openly angry. She constantly criticized Amelia, claiming she had ruined the family's plan and lost a golden opportunity to change their lives. She called, texted, and even went to Amelia's workplace to put pressure on her. "You're selfish. You ruined everything. Do you think you can be happy with another man while your family is falling apart?" But Amelia was no longer afraid. She had David by her side, and she knew she wasn't alone. She learned to face her stepmother's cruelty with calmness and determination. During this time, the feelings between David and Amelia grew deeper. They spent a lot of time together, walking on the golden-leafed roads in Vermont, cooking cozy meals together at David's villa, reading books, and sharing their dreams. Amelia felt her life was slowly changing, from a gray painting to one with bright colors. She no longer felt lonely, no longer felt despair. David had brought her light, hope, and love, helping her rediscover herself, a stronger and more confident Amelia. One beautiful morning, David took Amelia to a stunning lavender field in Provence, France, a place that Sarah, his wife, had loved. The endless rows of purple flowers stretched to the horizon, like a giant carpet woven from sunbeams and fragrance. The sweet scent of lavender filled the air, soothing all her senses. In the distance, majestic mountains stood tall, their peaks covered in white snow, creating a magnificent scene. An ancient village with red-tiled roofs lay peacefully at the foot of the mountains, like a fairy tale picture. "It's so beautiful, David," Amelia exclaimed, her eyes bright, filled with wonder and happiness. "I've never seen a sight so beautiful." David hugged Amelia from behind, kissing her hair gently, savoring her soft scent. "I want you to be happy. I want you to live the life you want, without burdens, without fear." He gently released her, kneeling on the carpet of purple lavender flowers. From his jacket pocket, he took out a small dark blue velvet box. When he opened it, inside was a sparkling diamond ring, the diamond shining brilliantly under the morning sun. "Amelia Hayes, will you marry me? Will you build a family with me, raise Lily with me, and write our happy story together?" Amelia couldn't hold back her tears. She nodded repeatedly, happy tears streaming down her cheeks, mingling with the scent of lavender. She hugged David tightly, clutching him as if she was afraid he would disappear. "Yes, I will. Yes, David." They shared a kiss under the golden sun of Provence, in the middle of the poetic lavender field, witnessed by the majestic mountains and the ancient village. It was the happiest moment of Amelia's life, a moment she would forever cherish in her heart. She knew that her life had truly turned a new page, a page full of hope and love. Amelia and David's wedding was a cozy ceremony at an ancient stone church in Vermont, where Amelia grew up, under the maple trees that had begun to turn deep red. There was no ostentation, only their closest loved ones in attendance, those who truly loved and blessed them. Lily was the little bridesmaid, wearing a pure white dress, her golden hair adorned with a small flower wreath, scattering rose petals down the aisle, her clear laughter echoing through the space, carrying innocence and joy. After the wedding, Amelia moved in with David and Lily at his villa in the Hamptons. Her life changed completely, like a dream come true. She no longer had to worry about financial burdens, no longer had to face the pressure and criticism from her family. She had a loving husband, an adorable daughter, and a warm home, filled with laughter and love. Amelia still continued her work as a flight attendant, but she had reduced her flight schedule to have more time for her family. She loved her job, but her family was now her top priority. She and David often traveled together, exploring new lands, turning every trip into an adventure. They went to Paris, walked under the majestic Eiffel Tower, watched the poetic Seine River flow gently, small boats gliding on the water. They visited ancient villages in Europe, enjoyed unique local dishes, learned about the native culture, and created precious memories together. But Amelia's happiest moments were the simple ones with her family. Every morning she woke up with David, and together they prepared breakfast for Lily, the clinking of cutlery, the aroma of coffee, and the lively sound of their chatter. Every afternoon she and Lily played in the large garden, reading fairy tales to her, painting together, or simply sitting side by side watching the sunset. Every evening the family gathered around the dinner table, sharing stories of their day, their small joys, and their plans for tomorrow. Lily adored Amelia. She called Amelia Mom Amelia and was always by her side, not leaving for a second. Amelia also loved Lily as if she were her own daughter, with an unconditional and pure love. The little girl had given her an affection she had never received from her biological parents, a love that healed the wounds in her heart. Amelia's father, Richard, later regretted what he had done to his daughter. After the debt was resolved, he gradually realized his mistake, realizing that money could not buy happiness and family love. He visited Amelia and David with an aged and remorseful expression, apologizing to her and asking for her forgiveness. Amelia forgave her father, but their relationship could never be the same again. The cracks were still there, a reminder of the painful past. Her stepmother, Sarah, still maintained a cold and distant attitude. She never accepted Amelia and David, still believing that Amelia had missed a golden opportunity to save the family. She lived in her own calculations and greed, but Amelia no longer cared. She had found her own happiness, and she didn't need anyone else's acceptance. On a beautiful autumn afternoon, when the maple leaves were starting to change color again, Amelia and David sat on a swing in the garden, watching Lily run and play on the lush green lawn, her clear laughter echoing through the space. A gentle autumn breeze blew, causing the maple leaves to fall gracefully, creating a vibrant golden carpet under their feet. The warm, golden light shone down, making the scene even more cozy and poetic. "I'm so happy, David," Amelia said, leaning her head on his shoulder, feeling a sense of peace. "I never thought I could have a life like this." David hugged Amelia tightly, kissing her hair gently. "Me too, my love. I thank life for bringing you to me, for bringing light to my life and Lily's." They looked at each other, happy smiles on their faces. Their love, like the autumn maple leaves, had to go through storms and harsh challenges, but in the end, it was still vibrant and strong, carrying the beauty of maturity and healing. It was a story of healing, of finding light in the darkness, and of the simple beauty of life when there is love and family, a story that will be told forever.